Welcome to HCAM series, all about getting to know the fascinating people who have dedicated themselves to make Hopkinton the place that it is today. We'll learn about their jobs and projects they are working on, but more importantly, we'll learn about who they are, their hobbies and interests, and why they do what they do. I'm Sidhi Dhanda, and this is Out on the Town. Today I'm here with Hopkinton's Library Reference and Technology Supervisor, Danielle. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So one thing I don't think everybody knows is to be a librarian, you actually go to graduate school and you have a master's degree in this subject.
I do, yes.
And so you actually plan to be a librarian. It's a deliberate choice that you made. So how did you decide librarian is what you wanted to be?
So it was kind of a split-second decision. I was just married and was looking for jobs in the area where my husband lived. And I found a posting for an archivist at a university nearby. And I looked at that and I said, you know, that's something I could enjoy doing for the rest of my life. And so when my husband came home that night, I said, guess what, honey, I'm going to grad school. Admittedly, at first I thought that I was going to be an academic librarian, that I would work in a college like the posting that I saw. But once I started working on my degree, I learned a little bit more about public libraries and started working in those. And it's worked out great so far.
So how did you end up in Hopkinton?
So I first started working in Hopkinton in 2019 as the part-time technology librarian. So I kind of got a toe in and then found that I really liked it here. So when the position for adult services librarian became available, I applied for that and got it. And then more recently, when the reference supervisor position became available, I applied for that one. So this is actually my second promotion here in Hopkinton. And I really like it here, which is why I keep applying for positions here.
So you mentioned it was a split-second decision to become a librarian. So what did young Danielle Cook think she was going to be when she grew up?
Young Danielle Cook had no idea, but she was adamant to everybody who saw her reading and told her that she was going to be a librarian that she was not indeed going to be a librarian.
So people predicted that you'd be a librarian?
Yes, multiple people told me when I was little that I was going to be a librarian, and I was like, no.
It's funny how that worked out.
I know, they were all right, much to my chagrin. Well, much to my then chagrin. Now I'm happy with it.
So there's been, I think, a lot of changes in libraries because of COVID and just because of new technologies emerging. Has it changed a lot since you've come into the profession?
It hasn't. It hasn't. You're right that a lot of the how to phrase it, maybe methods that we use to provide services have changed, but the services themselves haven't changed. So we have seen since COVID and during COVID especially a really big uptick in the number of people using our audiobooks or using our electronic databases because they're easier to access from home, which was very important when we were closed. But at the end of the day, those folks are still checking out books. And so one of the things that have been integral to libraries from the beginning is books. So that's still the case. Similarly, during COVID, we started offering programs remotely, so folks could watch via Zoom or HCAM sometimes. And so I would say that at our core, we've stayed the same, but maybe the way that we do some things have changed.
So yes, you're right. Books integral to libraries, that makes sense. But I know Hopkinton Library has more than just books. They also have the Library of Things, which you are a main force behind. So tell us about that program. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So I really love our Library of Things. It's something that I actually started working on in a different library, and then when I came to Hopkinton, that was one of the things that they were excited about for me as a candidate, was that I had led that initiative in other libraries, so I had some experience with it. Our Library of Things here consists of a number of different items, and we're adding stuff regularly. So most recently, we added some musical instruments. We have an electric keyboard, a ukulele, and a guitar. We've also added a child carrier for hiking, which the Trails Club donated, so that's really great. So if you've got a little one whose legs aren't quite steady yet, you can put them in the carrier and carry them with you, which is fantastic. And we also have items like craft supplies, so knitting needles, crochet hooks, looms, those sorts of things that folks might want to try first before jumping in and buying a bunch of stuff. We've also got some very small home maintenance items, like an energy monitor to try and figure out what appliances you have that are pulling tons of energy, an outlet tester, humidity monitor, so just little things that folks might want to use to determine weak points in their home or things that they can improve upon. And we've got board games and tabletop role-playing game kits. And like I said, we're adding stuff all the time. I know that children's items are a big thing that folks have been asking for. We're working on that. We've got some kinks to work out with that before we can release that stuff, but it's on the way. And we're just really excited about it and excited to hear how the community is using the things that we're offering, and excited to hear what sorts of things they think would be useful to them that they would like us to loan.
What would you say is the most popular thing being checked out of Library of Things?
Snap circuits.
The snap circuits?
The snap circuits.
Yeah, I remember playing with those when I was there.
Yeah, they're great. I played with them just a couple months ago. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
So I've seen photos of you like learning some of the skills that come with some of the tools and things in the Library of Things. So talk to me about that. I think I saw a photo of you maybe knitting.
Yeah. So I'm a woman of many talents. And it's also helpful for me to know how the things in the Library of Things work, so that when folks come in and have questions about them, I can tell them a little bit about the stuff. I won't profess to be an expert on all of the things, but I know a little bit about most of the stuff that's in there. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what librarians are for, is to help you learn stuff.
I know you're working on a lot of different initiatives in the library too, and one of them is One Book, One Hopkinton, that program. Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure, yeah. So the One Book, One Hopkinton program is something that the library is going to be starting in September. From mid-September to mid-November, we are going to be encouraging everyone in the community to read the same book, which is going to be Digging to America by Ann Tyler. It's a book that focuses on themes of adoption and immigration and integration. And it's something that we think is particularly relevant to Hopkinton right now. And we hope that everybody will join in reading this book and then discussing it with us. And that will take place not only in book discussions, which we will hold a couple of throughout that time period, but also some other programs like a dancer who is coming in and a French Canadian singer, programs on adoption and genealogy, and programs on Korean culture and history, as the book features two young Korean girls as some of the main characters. And that is something that our director, Nancy Hill, is leading, and that she led in one of her previous communities at which she was the library director, which were very successful there. And so she thought that that would be something that we could do and really have a lot of fun with. So I'm hoping that everyone will join us for that.
And I know you also mentioned, even though it is like an adult and like teenage book, there's still going to be children's programs running that are like somewhat related to that thing?
Yes, yeah. So it's definitely an adult book with teen interest. I wouldn't set your 5-year-old down with it because they're not going to be able to get through it. But we will be having children's programs that kind of interact with the ideas of family and belonging and that sort of thing.
That's pretty cool. It's going to be a whole family affair.
Yeah.
So I also know, I didn't know about this program that the library runs, but the Hopkinton 101, what is that?
Yeah, so that's an annual program that was started, I think, 3 or 4 years before the pandemic, that our old director, Heather Backman, started, which we've done 2 years now since the pandemic is over. And that's something that I put together and run. It's a lot of work, and it happens in the spring. And that is a community fair. So that's an opportunity for folks in the community, on the one hand, folks who are part of committees or clubs or any sort of nonprofit, or this year we started inviting for-profit organizations to show what they do and to promote themselves to the community. So we have folks from Town Hall over there, we have folks from the library there, the Friends of the Library, the trustees, the foundation, the Senior Center are all there. We also have groups like SACH and the Hopkinton Chinese American Association and the YMCA and the Hopkinton Center for the Arts, you name it, they're there. On the other hand, it also gives an opportunity for folks who are part of the community who may not be aware of those organizations or who may be looking for a way to get involved in town to find out what sorts of things, one, that they can draw on if they have specific needs, but also ways that they can get back if they find themselves with time or energy or resources that they want to put back into the community.
I love that. I know sometimes there's so many like different organizations in town, but it can be overwhelming to find like which one do I want to help out and contribute to.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are like 5 or 6 different trails organizations in town, and for the average person trying to keep them all straight and know which one administers which trails and which initiatives is really challenging. And so things like this can be really nice because they're all right there in a row. You can talk to all of them, you can see what all of them do, and you can get some really nice maps of all the trails in town.
That's pretty cool. So you run a lot of different initiatives in the library, you're part of a lot of different programs. What is like your favorite part of your job? Because I know it's like very like, it's a wide job with a lot of different roles.
I love the people that I work with. Both the staff here at the library, we have a fantastic team, and the people in the community. It's a great community to work in. Like I said, this is the 3rd position in the library that I've applied for and been hired into. So I wouldn't have been here this long, and I wouldn't continue to strengthen and deepen my connections to this community if I didn't really enjoy it here.
So when you're not like working and hanging out with your awesome colleagues, what's something like you like to do for fun?
Well, I like to read, which probably does not surprise you the tiniest bit. But I also like to craft. So you mentioned earlier with the library of things, I knit, I crochet, I embroider, I bind books. I like to keep my hands busy.
What are you working on right now?
I'm working on a shawl.
Pretty cool. Knitting, crocheting.
Crochet.
Very cool. What is something most local residents wouldn't know about you?
Well, I think the fact that I've been here as long as I have, as a technology librarian, as the adult services librarian, and now as the reference supervisor, I do work on the lower level, and so I don't necessarily get a lot of face time with a lot of our residents. So every so often somebody says, "Oh, are you new?" And I'm like, "No." So that's one thing for sure. That I've been here for a while, and that I'm here for folks. And if you want just like a quick little fun fact, that would probably be that I was a Boy Scout.
Really?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yep. The Sea Scouts of America were co-ed before the Boy Scouts were.
Very cool.
So I was legal. I didn't sneak in.
So how many years have you been in the library?
Let's see. So I've been here for 5 years, and I was at other libraries for it's probably been about 9 years.
And so you've been a librarian for 9 years, and in Hopkinton for 5 years?
Yes.
Wow, very cool. So you have been here for a while.
I have, yeah.
So now I have to ask this because you are a librarian, but knowing that the Hopkinton Public Library has a lot of things you can check out, what is your favorite book to check out, but what is your favorite thing you can check out at the library? Yes, it can be a book, but anything that's your favorite thing to check out.
I really enjoy the audiobooks that we get through Libby. I read probably 3 or 4 of those a week.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, so when do you listen to them? Just all the time?
A lot of the time. Yeah, when I'm in the car, when I'm doing dishes, when I'm doing my crocheting. If I'm doing something with my hands that's not actively engaging my mind, I'm also listening to a book.
It's pretty cool. Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for taking the time to be on the show. We appreciate all you do for the library and all you do for Hopkinton.
Thank you so much for having me.